What's going on everyone, Omar here, and in today's video guys we'll test the new Tamron 11 to 20mm f2.8, the ultra wide angle lens for Sony APS-C cameras versus the popular Sony 10 to 18mm f4. Omar here, and let's put these guys on test. Today we noticed that all Tamron lenses, whether a full frame or APS-C lenses, feature a short minimum focus distance, and the 11 to 20mm f2.8 is no exception. The previous clip shot on Sony and this one is on Tamron. So there is a significant difference between the two lenses' minimum focus distance. And with Tamron we can get more like wide macro images. Now, when vlogging, people like wider lenses, and in fact, there is a difference between 10 and 11mm. Although the 10mm is a little bit wider, 11mm f2.8 creates more blurry background and shallow depth of field. See both lenses side by side. Now, this is very tight. It's Sony at 18mm f4. And now this is Sony at 10mm f4. Indeed, there is a difference between f2.8 and f4 look in terms of the background shallow depth of field and bokeh. Now this is Tamron at 11mm f2.8, and this is the 20mm at f2.8. Never expect a lot of bokeh and shallow background on wide angle lenses, whether f2.8 or f4. However, when jumping to 18 and 20mm f4 and f2.8, we'll see a lot more of bokeh difference. And when testing the autofocus, I see that both lenses share a great performance in such a situation where I focus on a short distance and then jump to a large one. Now at 14mm, Sony 10 to 18mm autofocus test. Tamron 10 to 18mm f2.8. So both lenses, Tamron and Sony, did a great job, and both of them are recommended when it comes to autofocus performance. Sony 10 to 18mm has optical steady shot, offering more stabilization. And in addition, the camera I'm using right now, the Sony 6600 camera, has image stabilization, sensor image stabilization, and in general, when using the camera image stabilization with the optical steady shot, we will get a better performance. Alright, now this is Tamron at 11mm f2.8, and it's combined with the Sony 6600 camera, sensor stabilization. And now let's have a quick walk in the hiking trail and check how the camera with the lens can handle the image stabilization versus the Sony 10 to 18mm OSS. Alright, this is the end of the trail, so let's go back and check the Sony 10 to 18mm. Now this is Sony 10 to 18mm f4 at 10mm, and this lens has optical steady shot, and I believe it will deliver a better stabilization when it's combined with the sensor stabilization in the camera. So again, let's have a quick walk and see if there is any difference between the Tamron and Sony, since the Sony has OSS. And when having both lenses in hand, it's obvious that Tamron and Sony have no buttons, nor manual to autofocus switch button. And I believe that's the case with most APS-C lenses. On the other hand, Tamron is remarkably larger and heavier than Sony 10 to 18mm f4. It's no surprise for such an f2.8 lens. So we get 335 grams, 11.8 ounces in Tamron, and 225 grams, 8 ounces in Sony. Anyway, Tamron share a 67mm filter size, the same filter size you see on all Tamron mirrorless lenses at the moment, whereas Sony got a 62mm filter size. Unlike Sony, the Tamron 11 to 20mm is designed and built with moisture-resistant construction and a fluorine coating to protect against dust, dirt, and smearing. So as a landscape and travel photographer, lightweight gear is definitely my best friend, and here both lenses fit in that category. But what's more interesting is the Tamron 11 to 20mm f2.8 is significantly sharper wide open more than the Sony 10 to 18mm f4. The results are shocking. Look at the sharpness quality wide open. This lens, which I'm using to film right now, is not less than a masterpiece. Now we'll show you some images shot with both lenses side by side, and I'm pretty sure after seeing the results, we'll not even think about Sony 10 to 18mm. Even though Sony has optical steady shot, which I believe you're not gonna use in landscape photography, I do prefer Tamron because of the sharpness and image quality. Now, when doing astro and night photography, the benefit of the f2.8 Tamron 11 to 20mm is no exception. Here, for example, the picture shot with Tamron is sharper and brighter due to the f2.8 aperture. The house behind me is not the one in the picture, in fact, it's the other one right there, but it's too windy to film at that point. Unfortunately, I was not so much lucky yesterday to get any stars in my picture, but I got a good one that fit my desire. On the other hand, chromatic aberration is indeed critical, and here I test both lenses' performance. This comparison might be boring to some of you, so I will do my best to make it quickly as possible. At 10 and 11mm wide open, Sony f4 versus Tamron f2.8. Alright, we have Tamron f2.8 slightly sharper in the center than Sony f4, and remarkably sharper at sides and corners. Actually, Tamron is always sharper at all apertures, including f5.6, f8 and f11. Now at maximum zoom range, 18 and 20mm. Again, Tamron f2.8 is way sharper than Sony f4. Sony at f5.6 is remarkably better than Sony f4, but anyway, Sony sharpness is still way behind Tamron image quality. Let's say Tamron, in my perspective, is better in all aspects. Indeed, I prefer image quality over optical steady shot. And I hope this video helped in making your decision whether you are a vlogger or a travel photographer. Show me a thumbs up if you found this video helpful, and bump that subscribe button for more camera gear reviews. This was Oma, and see you guys in another one.